Sean Diddy Combs is locked up in a federal jail that has been plagued by harsh conditions and violence. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn has seen multiple deaths in recent years. An inmate was stabbed to death in July, and several others have died by suicide. It's these reasons, among others, that Combs' lawyers are fighting to get him out of there. They want him released on bail rather than being kept in jail while he awaits trial on sex trafficking charges. Combs is just the latest high-profile defendant to be locked up at MDC Brooklyn. Before him, there were R. Kelly, Elaine Maxwell, and crypto scammer Sam Bankman-Fried.
Sean Diddy Combs is being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, a facility known for its harsh conditions. The jail, often referred to as hell on earth, has been plagued by staff gaps and unsanitary conditions for years.
Maxwell complained about her treatment at the facility, which included round-the-clock checks in the wake of her associate Jeffrey Epstein's jail suicide. A few years ago, a week-long power outage in the dead of winter left detainees in drab, cold conditions. Judges have also raised alarms. They've pressed the Bureau of Prisons for status updates and implored the agency to fix things. One judge even refused to send some defendants to the jail.
Recent incidents include the deaths of several inmates, with misconduct being a regular occurrence.
Trafficking charges he faces. And as Les Trump reports, the music mogul who once traveled by private jet to all those mansions is now in a jail that is notorious for its bad living conditions.
There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here.
Diddy's legal team has stated deep concerns about his safety and well-being while he awaits trial in such an environment, emphasizing that the jail is dangerous for all detainees.
There's really no deal that the U.S. Attorney's Office can offer, and it's certainly not one that Diddy will accept. It would involve decades in federal prison. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years for both the drug charges and the sex trafficking. So we know that Diddy has fought charges before. There were state charges, there were gun-related, the nightclub shooting with J-Lo, but he's going to dig in his heels, and this case is going to trial. So if you're prosecutors, you really want to make sure that your evidence is bulletproof before you go down that route.
Despite AMP from his legal team to have him placed under house arrest in his $48 million Miami mansion, a judge has once again denied Diddy's bail.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back behind bars, a magistrate judge denying him bail, saying that there were no conditions that she could conceive of that would make her confident that he would appear again for other court appearances. The judge saying, "My concern is this is a crime that happens behind closed doors." Diddy's lawyers had argued that he had made good faith efforts by showing up in New York ready to surrender to face these charges, but prosecutors said that he could not be trusted, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some who are going to be witnesses in this case. They urged the judge to remand him. She did, and when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
NBC has reported that Diddy will remain incarcerated at MDC Brooklyn while awaiting his trial. His legal troubles, including accusations of misbehavior and trafficking, have become a focal point in the media, and his prolonged stay in detention adds to the mounting pressure on his defense team to clear his name. What impact do you think staying in jail will have on Diddy's defense strategy and public image?
Sean Diddy Combs back in a New York City courtroom, we believe right about now, as he tries to appeal a judge's ruling, which denied him bail and sent him to jail as he awaits trial in the explosive sex trafficking and racketeering case against him. Prosecutors describe a large criminal ring orchestrated by Combs to sexually abuse dozens of women, drugging them, beating them, and recording sexual acts for at least 15 years. The move from the judge to hold the musician mogul in jail before his trial comes as prosecutors argue Combs, his massive wealth, makes him a flight risk. It is a stunning fall from the height of pop culture. Combs, however, is pleading not guilty and has denied any wrongdoing. Let's bring in NBC's Chloe Malas for more. And Chloe, there are no phones, no electronics allowed in court.
We actually have breaking news. We have some breaking news right now. According to NBC News, just moments ago, I am reading off my phone right now, Sean Diddy Combs will not be released. And this is per the district attorney's office. Now, Sean Diddy Combs sits behind bars until this potentially goes to trial. Why do I say potentially? Even though his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, spoke to CNN last night and said that it is very unlikely that he would accept any sort of a plea deal. And we don't even know if a plea deal would even be on the table with these very extreme criminal charges of racketeering, transportation when it comes to prostitution and sex trafficking.
These include claims of misconduct and involvement in trafficking.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice.
The claims from Cassie Ventura, Diddy's previous girlfriend, have been central to the case. Cassie's claims include disturbing details of abuse, with a leaked video of an altercation between her and Diddy serving as one of the most important pieces of evidence.
Incident that went public. This is an obvious reference to the Cassie video where he was dragging and beating her really in an open sort of area, not in a hotel room, but rather in the hallway near the elevator. That never went public until recently. The drugs are very interesting because the list of drugs includes cocaine, oxycodone, Xanax, GHB, which is a popular date rape drug, ketamine, which is what killed Matthew Perry. I mean, it is a laundry list of allegations. Like you said, and you've emphasized, this is just an indictment. This is what the prosecutors say they've gathered. Diddy will have his day in court. He's got a very sort of high-profile, high-powered attorney in Mark Agnifilo, who says he's going to fight like hell to get him released. And we don't want him on the streets while we're prosecuting this case.
Now, Diddy's attorney is claiming that Diddy knew this was all going down, and he allegedly voluntarily went to New York, was staying at this hotel, assuming that things were going to happen and he was going to need to be there.
We got pictures of him, though, sort of taking pictures with fans out the night before.
Looked unbothered. He looked like he wasn't worried about anything going down. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, this is just the beginning. The indictment is the start of all this. You'll see evidence come out. It'll be interesting to see whether he takes a plea. They're not signaling that he's going to cop to any of this, though. At least his lawyer initially is saying he's going to fight these charges. Fight the attempt to hold him without bail. So this is really a huge day. The walls have been caving in for a long period of time, but civil suits are one thing. When you're in the crosshairs of federal prosecutors, it gets much more serious. He's facing decades behind bars if he's convicted on this.
Orlando Brown, during an appearance on a podcast, commented on Diddy's impact in Hollywood, making a bold statement about how powerful figures like Diddy shape the careers of others.
Can someone come to Hollywood and not do drugs?
Yeah.
And be successful?
Oh, hell yeah. That's easy.
It's not a requirement.
Bro, the requirement is you gotta say no to Diddy. If it's new booty in the building, you know he gonna get it.
Don't take your girlfriend to a Diddy party.
Nigga, you can take the bitch, but he won't you. He ain't worried about that bitch. He is not worried about that bitch at all. Okay, he ain't.
Former prosecutor Matt Murphy discussed the disturbing nature of Diddy's claimed habit of recording private encounters without consent.
It's one of the things about sex offenders that it's always mind-boggling, but they love to record it. And it is, you know, when they served the search warrant on his home in Los Angeles, remember that? And the Bearcat trucks went in,
March.
And they were seen leaving with computers, and everybody in law enforcement at that point saw those videos and said they're going to do a complete forensic workup. And the FBI is actually the best in the world at getting into electronic devices and figuring out how to get past, passwords and all that sort of thing. And the timing of this is interesting. I think that it appears to be a very methodical, careful investigation.
Journalist Megyn Kelly and former prosecutor Matt Murphy recently discussed Diddy's legal troubles, delving into the implications of the accusations and the proof provided so far.
Diddy has been indicted. He is in custody, in federal custody now, following that very public raid on his home back in March. 6 months later, he's in federal custody. He is charged with creating a criminal enterprise, among many other things, sex trafficking, multiple acts including kidnapping, arson, bribery, forced labor, prostitution, illegal sexual activities, possession with intent to distribute. I could go on. What do you make of that?
We all saw that video that came out a few months ago of the appalling violence he was wreaking on a girlfriend. And that's just something that came out, which is probably not even related to these specific charges. Let's wait for the court case. Let the evidence be put forward. Let him have his defense. Let justice play its way out of this. But I would be very, very surprised, given what we've already seen about P. Diddy, if a lot of this is not true and if he's not going to prison for a very long time.
On the Pivot podcast, hosts and guests explored the implications of the leaked Cassie video, which allegedly shows Diddy mistreating her. Will this video be the deciding factor in Diddy's case, or are there other elements that will play a more significant role?
Fellas, we initially had the conversation about Sean Combs when Cassie Ventura filed the civil suit against him, but recently CNN uncovered a surveillance video from a hotel where it's shown Sean Combs running out of a room as Cassie is attempting to leave and assaulting her in the hallway. I think now some people who were on one side of it have leaned to the other side once the evidence was shown. Upon seeing that video, what was your reaction?
Man, it turned my damn stomach. It's despicable. Like, a man to hit a woman like that and kick her and stomp her like this. She was trying to escape this monster. As I'm gonna say it now after watching the video out there. Any man out there, I say, you're not a man. If you hit a woman, you're really not a man. I got certain words I call you, but you're not a man if you're gonna hit on a woman, man. That's, to your point, I believe more of everything that's came out. All the allegations, when I see that happen, when I see you're that heartless to chase that young lady out when she's trying to escape you and do what you did to her in that hallway, man, all respect lost. And I say, any man out there that hit a woman, you hit me. If you really want to hit a woman, I'll fight you. You that tough, I'll fight you. That's just, it's sad.
Yeah, no, it's really sad, Chan. You know, to be honest with you, bro, like, I really hate to be here, even have to talk about it. You know, it is really that bad, but I think it's our duty to talk about it. You know, we have loved women in our lives that we love. You know, we all have daughters. And I just think that first and foremost, Cassie, her courage to be able to go through what she went through and be able to get to a point where she had enough courage to bring it to the forefront. And a lot of people didn't believe her. A lot of people did not believe her. And they gave Diddy the benefit of the doubt. This is my question.
There is a rising consensus, as voiced by several commentators, that Diddy's alleged behavior has been allowed to continue for years because of his immense influence in the business. Do you think the culture of silence around powerful figures like Diddy is finally breaking down?
Ever done publicly. All the ways that he's used his power, all the ways that he's disrespected people and treated people, and you let him do that because of his power. And now you know that this woman has been living with this for years. And those bruises heal, right? But emotionally, mentally, the trauma that she's experienced, and then to come out after all these years and finally have the courage to say something about it, to do something about it, to in some way try to recoup some of your dignity, in some way try to recoup what he took from you. Now you got to hear everybody in the world doubt that you ever went through those things.
On his podcast, Stephen A. Smith weighed in on the Diddy case, saying that it reflects a larger issue within Hollywood.
It ain't just P. Diddy that's in trouble with all of this, because he's in a world of trouble. He's in a world of trouble, but that's not what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about Hollywood being in a world of trouble. And if you're being honest, I ain't the only one thinking like that. So let's get that out the way first. This Homeland Security. First off. Secondly, the sex trafficking, the physical abuse is something the ex-girl accused him of. Remember, he settled that the next day after the case, after she publicized it. He settled the case the next day. But it was thereafter that the video came out with him running down the hallway, snatching her, throwing her to the ground, kicking her, throwing a vase at her, etc., etc. Y'all remember that infamous video? He came on and he apologized and he acknowledged that he was in a real bad, effed up place. That's what he said. About too many people. That's what Suge Knight alluded to when he was talking about P. Diddy. And as we sit here today, who the hell can deny that potential reality? Do we know? No. We don't know. But what we do know is that these are federal charges. What we do know is that his attorney has been on the record saying that he flew to New York as recently as a couple of weeks ago because they knew this was coming down the pike. And he wanted to show compliance and that he wasn't running from anything. And he's expected to plead not guilty.
His comments show that Diddy's case is not an isolated incident, but rather part of a broader systemic problem.
Whose name is attached to P. Diddy? And you don't know where the dominoes are going to fall. You see, when R. Kelly, with his pedophile ass self, was being pursued by law enforcement, by prosecutors and what have you, it was just him. It was just him. There might have been some people who knew or thought or heard or whatever the case may be, but they wanted him. Okay? They wanted him. When you look at P. Diddy, it almost seems clear. It's not just him thereafter. These are RICO charges. It's an indictment. It's Homeland Security. iPads and phones and surveillance videos and stuff like that. Confiscated. They did that in May. You're talking about months later, and here they come with this indictment, and they're trying to make it so today, as we're taping this show, if prosecutors have their druthers, they're trying to make today his last day of freedom in his life. That's what they're trying to do. They want him behind bars today. Not next week, not next month, not when the trial begins and he's found guilty by a jury of his peers in their eyes. No. They want him in jail now.
Federal reports have informed that Diddy usually forced his workers to be involved in freak-offs with him.
To participate in these freak-offs and essentially victimize, that's the way they're putting it, some of the women who were pressured to be part of this.
Yeah, the feds are alleging, Harvey, a full-scale criminal enterprise here. They say that Diddy was conspiring with many people, mostly his employees, to engage not just in drawing people out across state lines for the purpose of prostitution, forcible coercion of sexual acts, forced drugging and raping of women, guns, all sorts of crimes, and
drugs,
it's all part of a criminal.
Drugs.
Right.
And that's a big deal.
Big deal. The judge basically said that he is going to be behind bars until his trial begins, whenever that is. The judge said that
and by the way, that could be a year from now.
That prosecutors had shown enough evidence that he was either a flight risk and or a danger to others and potentially witnesses as well, because the feds
say he tampered with witnesses.
That he's tampered with witnesses in the past.
Now, when we broke this story last night, we said the plan was for him to surrender today.
Commentator Andrew Scholes suggested that the investigations into Diddy's behavior began in earnest after rumors surfaced about his potential involvement in the Tupac Shakur case. While this remains speculative, it highlights the web of controversies surrounding Diddy's career. Do you think the TAC connection will affect Diddy's current legal battles, or is it merely a distraction?
1,000 bottles of baby oil, that's insane.
I heard an interesting take.
How big is that house? You know what I mean? Yeah, take 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
No, you have like a cellar for it.
Yeah.
You keep it chilled.
You got a wine cellar and a baby oil cellar?
Yeah, exactly. So,
you got a nice vintage?
Yeah.
Guys, vaping, smoking, these are terrible habits to have.
I'm going to reserve using his name, but it's not my
Yeah, tell us what 50 said.
No, it wasn't 50. It wasn't, you guys know him, but I just want to make sure he would feel comfortable. And he was like, I think this all happened once that dude came out and said that Diddy hired the guy who killed Tupac.
Oh.
I thought that all this Diddy stuff stemmed from his lawsuit with the liquor company that owns Ciroc. So apparently Diddy won like $1 billion lawsuit for like racial discrimination with the liquor company that owns Ciroc.
Yeah.
And he won it. Like they were gonna have to pay up. And then all this shit happened afterward. And I wonder if it does come from that dude. I don't know. I just an angle I didn't see. What do you guys think?
That's interesting.
Yeah. I just thought that those rumors were out there. I guess him coming out and saying it was different, I got hired. But yeah, I'd always heard rumors that he had Biggie killed. Like, you hear wild shit about Diddy for decades.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know.
Yeah, because he said that quite a while ago. Like, it was a space and time before since he did that interview and said that Diddy put a price on Tupac's head, because he didn't actually contract that particular person. It was like some meeting in a hotel.